Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Dunleavy, and welcome back to The Way It Is. Before we get started, I just want to take a minute to talk about why I haven't been posting. Honestly, I've been filming a lot of shows, in the last week, and I would get them done, and I'd go back and watch them. And, after I watched them, I really felt that they weren't as good as I wanted them to be. And I don't really know whether that's me or my delivery or whatever, but I took some time this weekend. I bought a textbook about journalism. I went through it, took a lot of notes, and I really practiced and developed, and I put a lot of thought into not just what I wanted the show to be, but how I wanted it to look. And, what I think the most important thing is what stories are most important to all of you. And I'm really proud of, what I've come up with. But I really want you guys to enjoy this and to learn from it too, because at the end of the day, you, the person watching this, you're most important to me. And I want this to be a place you can come to get the truth. And, things that actually affect your day-to-day life. And not just stories about celebrities or car crashes or tragedies. So, with that being said, let's get into our first story. Relations between the United States and China have hit a new low this week, with the United States ordering China's consulate in Houston to close by the end of the week. Firefighters responded to calls of papers being burned inside the consulate after smoke was observed in an outdoor courtyard. The firefighters were denied entry. China's embassy has warned of countermeasures if the action was not reversed. This news comes after the U.S. charged 2 Chinese men with hacking biotech firms working on vaccines for COVID-19, as well as stealing millions of dollars of intellectual property and trade secrets from firms around the world. It is unknown if the 2 men managed to recover any info linked to the vaccines, but Li Shu and Dong Jiazi targeted a biotech firm in Massachusetts that was researching vaccines and probed the networks of a California company that was creating testing kits. China's foreign ministry has not yet issued an official statement. Furthering tensions yesterday, the United States government made public that it was sanctioning 11 Chinese companies that they say are part of human rights abuses against Muslims in China's northwestern region of Xinjiang. At Nanchang O-Film Tech, a company that supplies screens and lenses to Apple and Samsung, and one of the businesses that was sanctioned, employees from Xinjiang were forced to attend political classes and weren't allowed outside unaccompanied. The company has not yet responded to the claims, but China said that the United States was more concerned with smearing Xinjiang policies rather than the human rights issues, and responded by placing unknown penalties on 4 United States senators that had been critical of the country. Along with the United States, tensions have also risen between China and Taiwan, which has accused China of flying military planes over the country daily, and also claims that they have held military exercises simulating an attack on the country. Coronavirus cases passed the 15 million mark today, as countries use different methods to slow down the spread. Health experts say data is underreporting infections and deaths in countries with limited testing capacity indefinitely. Many countries face the challenge of keeping their economies open while dealing with the pandemic, such as India, who faces cases on the rise, as well as flooding in its northeast. The head of the 2021 Tokyo Olympic Committee remains optimistic that the situation will improve, as he feels vaccines are the key to holding the Games, and Tokyo has a small number of cases compared to its large population. However, he said that if the situation does not improve, it will be impossible to hold the Games on the scheduled start date of July 23rd next year. U.S. Congress is struggling to find common ground on passing a final relief bill for the nation before the end of the month, as cases are on the rise in the country, and additional federal relief of a weekly $600 for unemployment is scheduled to end after July 31st. The federal ban on evictions expires on July 25th, as some state bans have already expired. Republicans and Democrats have differed on the amount of money to be spent on relief, with Democrats submitting a $3 trillion package for relief, while Republicans submitted a $1 trillion package. This clash comes as more Americans than ever need the relief, with 17 weeks in a row of over 1 million people claiming unemployment. State governments are also in need of more money, with many having to borrow billions of dollars and finding more money by placing workers on leave, delaying construction projects, and cutting aid to schools, many of which are in jeopardy of not reopening. The Republican package, not yet announced, is expected to contain $75 billion for the reopening of schools, lowered unemployment benefits, and an additional $1,200 for each American, as well as $25 billion for testing and contact tracing of COVID-19. The Democratic package, which was approved by the House of Representatives in May, included $75 billion for testing and tracing, $100 billion to go towards reopening schools, and $1 trillion to be sent to the states, cities, and tribal governments. Associated Press reports that humanitarian aid has dropped by a third since last year around the world, as aid from government donors has dropped, including countries like the United States, United Kingdom, European Union, and Canada. In June, more than 24 global aid groups wrote to the United States about pledged aid for COVID-19, saying that little to no assistance had reached those on the front lines. The U.S. had committed over $1 billion of aid. A survey found that only 16% of members of a UK network for non-governmental groups working in international development had received new funding while fighting the pandemic in developing nations. Last week, the UN increased its request for aid to $10.3 billion, the largest request for aid in history. Only $1.7 billion has been received. The response of wealthy nations so far has been grossly inadequate and dangerously short-sighted, UN humanitarian chief Mark Lowcock said. Failure to act now will leave the virus free to circle around the globe. I know what you're thinking. Don't turn off this video. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Scientists at Oxford University made research public today that shows their vaccine, which began trials in April, shows a protective immune response in hundreds of people that have received the dose. Adults up to the age of 55 who had no known history of COVID-19 received the vaccine between April and May. The United States government funded around $1 billion into the UK-based company AstraZeneca that is partnering with Oxford to research and eventually distribute the vaccine. The reason this vaccine isn't available right now is that this trial was only phase 1 of the testing. Phase 1 means that the trial vaccine was only given to small groups of people. Phase 2, which Oxford has just wrapped up, is when the vaccine is tested on people of different ages and health conditions. Phase 3, when the vaccine is given to a group of thousands of people, and scientists monitor it to see if it does what it's supposed to and how safe it is. At the moment, Oxford's vaccine is currently testing Phase 3 in the United Kingdom, South Africa, and Brazil, and hopes to begin testing soon in the United States. AstraZeneca aims to distribute over 2 billion doses of the vaccine. 2 Chinese companies are also currently in development of Phase 3 vaccines, with 2 other companies scheduled to begin later in the month. Concerns of a constitutional violation are growing after federal agents have clashed with protesters in Portland, Oregon. The reason why? Local and state authorities did not ask for their help. Mayor Ted Wheeler denounced the federal agents over the weekend, saying that they had only escalated the situation, and their presence had led to more violence and vandalism. The state attorney general has filed a lawsuit against the agents, claiming in court papers that federal officers have arrested citizens off the street without probable cause and taken them away in unmarked cars. The upcoming case is expected to be a test of states' rights, with several legal experts calling the actions of the Trump administration in violation of the principle. It is expected by many that President Trump will send 150 federal agents to Chicago later in the week, with the mayor of the city, Lori Lightfoot, asking the president in a letter to refrain from this and instead invest more in community-based outreach programs across the city. Leaders in the House of Representatives announced on Sunday that they would be employing federal inspectors general to investigate the agents' actions in Portland. The Department of Homeland Security tweeted that Portland was, quote, rife with violent anarchists assaulting federal officers and federal buildings, end quote, and that the crowd was not peaceful and called their actions federal crimes, also saying that it was routine to use unmarked vehicles. Demonstrators have broken windows, set fire to buildings, and thrown rocks at the federal agents. However, Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky spoke out against the actions of the agents and the administration, tweeting that, quote, we cannot give up liberty for security. Local law enforcement can and should be handling these situations in our cities, but there is no place for federal troops or unidentified federal agents rounding up people at will, end quote. Minnesota Judge Peter Cahill lifted a gag order that banned public comments from those involved in the case against the four officers charged in the death of George Floyd. The judge said he agreed with the defense attorney's arguments that the gag order was unfair to their clients and limited the ability to defend against negative publicity, and also said that certain parties had been tiptoeing around it by talking to the media. Cahill is also taking the request by a media coalition to make the body camera footage more available under advisement. He has also made the footage available for in-person viewing by appointment only. The prosecution has argued that releasing the footage could have a negative effect on an impartial jury, while the defense has argued that the media has been unfair to those charged and the footage would clear up misrepresentations. Sports are beginning to return to our daily lives, with Major League Baseball having its opening day tomorrow, and the National Football League agreeing with its players to have daily testing as training camps began on Monday. This comes after players tweeted out over the weekend asking for better protection to their health and their families from the league. The NFL has also offered to the Players Association to not play their usual 4-game preseason, to which the union has not officially responded. The MLB is playing a 60-game season, far from this 162-game season we played last year. ESPN has made their prediction for the Los Angeles Dodgers to win the World Series this year, after their 106 wins last year. The MLB has also shown itself to be more politically active than in recent seasons, with the San Francisco Giants players kneeling during the national anthem, along with their manager, Gabe Kapler, at an exhibition game. Alyssa Nakken also made history during the Giants game on Monday, when she became the first woman to coach on field during a Major League Baseball game as a first base coach. Members of the Los Angeles Dodgers, including National League MVP Cody Bellinger and 3-time Cy Young winner Clayton Kershaw, spoke out against racial injustice in a video posted on social media. Now, time for some good news. Over 2 million people have gathered in India to plant 20 million trees along the river Ganges while practicing social distancing. The state of Uttar Pradesh has pledged to cover a third of the nation with shade from trees by the year 2030. They are aiming for an area of over 235 million acres, which is about the size of Texas and New Mexico combined. After being diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer last year, Alex Trebek, the beloved host of Jeopardy, celebrates his 80th birthday today and has released a memoir. He says he plans on resuming the show after coronavirus restrictions are lifted. He has received a flood of support after being diagnosed with many letters, positive words, and prayers. Happy birthday, Alex. Abdul El Gaidar is a rail worker at Cannon Street Station in central London. After his shift had ended, he noticed something unusual. He saw a man using bolt cutters on a bicycle near the entrance to the station. He argued with the thief for a few minutes, and the thief eventually ran off. Abdul put the bike into safe storage and kept watch over it for 4 hours while he waited for the bike's owner to return, after his shift was over. When the owner, Steve Farmer, arrived, he was worried when he saw the cut lock on the ground where the bike was. He went up to the platform, where El Gayar stopped him and told him the good news. Farmer posted about it on Facebook, where it was shared over 134,000 times on Facebook. Internet is headed to some of the most remote parts of Kenya after Google deploys a giant fleet of balloons to broadcast mobile internet over the country. About 72% of the country's 1.2 billion people live without internet, so this project should improve many lives for the better. A camera trap placed in Nigeria has taken photos of new infants born to the rare cross-river gorilla species. There are only 300 left in the wild, and this photo confirms that the species is still actively reproducing. The Wildlife Conservation Society has said that it will continue to work closely with the Conservation Association of the Mbe Mountains and the authorities in Nigeria's Cross River area to protect the infants and their families. And, for our final story, donations to charity by people like you rose nearly 50% across the country in the past 6 months, with donors giving over $1.7 billion in aid, 46% higher than this time last year. Over 100,000 charities were donated to, with some of the most widely supported being Feeding America, Doctors Without Borders, the Salvation Army, and Planned Parenthood. To the best of my knowledge, all of the information you heard tonight was 100% accurate. My name is Chris Dunleavy, and this has been The Way It Is. Remember, tomorrow will be a brighter day. Good night.